say you are a beginner mandolin player trying to find your way and learn the fretboard of the mandolin a little bit better. One of the best ways that you can do that, in my opinion, when you're first starting out is to learn the major scales in first position. This is super helpful because say you're playing with other people and they say that they're gonna play a tune in the key of A, and you don't know what the key of A means, you don't know the notes in the key of A, you don't know where those notes are on your instrument, you're gonna feel a little bit overwhelmed. But if you know the notes in the A major scale in first position, then you are already gonna know, okay, key of A, I know that scale, I know the notes that are gonna be used in this tune, I know where they're at on my instrument, and if you practice these scales routinely, they're gonna become so ingrained in your hand that you really don't have to think about it that much, and you're gonna be able to play in a whole bunch of different keys and feel confident in those keys because you know the major scale that goes along with them. So, before we go further, don't forget to hit that like button down below and go ahead and download the sheet music and tab that I have available for all of these major scales. You're gonna find that in the description down below, and let's get into it. We are going to be looking at major scales and first position on the mandolin today. We are going to go through the right side of the circle of fifths. If you are a little bit confused or don't know what the circle of fifths is, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll pop a picture of it up here on the screen, but basically what the circle of fifths is it's a way that we organize our key signatures in music, and we're going to be going on the right side, which is all of our keys that have sharps. Typically in mandolin, we use keys that have sharps in them way more than we use keys that have flats in them. I will do a separate video on the flat keys, but today we're going to be looking at the sharp keys, which are much more common in the mandolin world. If you have the sheet music, then you can see that we're starting off with C, and this is the top line of the music. You have the letter C right at the beginning, and it's going to take you all the way up the scale, all the way down the scale, and then when the scale is done, you're going to see a final bar line there, and that means that that scale is done, and then we'll move on to the next scale, and it'll have, like, the next one is G. Some of these scales are longer than others, and that just depends on where we're starting and how far we can play without having to go too high on our instrument. And we're keeping this all in first position, so it's super friendly to beginners. In fact, I think this is a great place to start if you are a beginner. Starting off in the key of C, the key of C is the one key that does not have any sharps or any flats, which makes it super simple. We're gonna start with the note C, which you're gonna find on the 5th fret here on your G string, and that's gonna be played with your 3rd finger. The nice thing about scales is that we're just walking up one note at a time, so we're never gonna be skipping any notes. So we're gonna play 3rd finger, you're gonna go to your open D, so C, D, E, 1st finger on the 2nd fret, F, 2nd finger on the 3rd fret, G, 3rd finger on the 5th fret, open A string, 1st finger on the 2nd fret for your B note, and then C. So in this scale, this is the fingering that we have. And these are your notes that are not altered by any sharps or any flats. So learning to recognize where these notes are is going to be super helpful as a foundation that we can build off of. It's also helpful to know that the distance between the E and the F note, which is the 2nd fret on the D string and the 3rd fret on the D string, as you can see, those two notes are they're right next to each other. 2nd fret, 3rd fret. So you've got your 1st finger right next to your 2nd finger, and then the spacing is the same on the A string. Those are the two notes that are right next to one another in this scale. With all of these scales, we are going to be starting on what's called the root. So if we are playing a C major scale, C is going to be our root. It's going to be the note that we start on. We're going to start on C and we're going to play up to another C. So you'll always be starting on the root of the scale and ending on the root of the scale. Moving to our next major scale, this is G. This is super common. Like the key of G is super common in mandolin. It is, if you could learn one scale, if I had to pick one scale for you to know, it would be the key of G. You should know this scale like the back of your hand. So with this scale, we're starting on our open G string here. We're gonna walk it up. So you're using first finger, second finger, third finger. We go to the same string, play the exact same thing, same exact spacing, just a string over. So far we've gone from G up to another G. This is what we call an octave. Octave means 8 notes, and so going from G to G, that's a total of 8 notes. We're gonna continue and play a second octave for this scale. So you're gonna continue A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. All the way on the left-hand side of this scale, we have an F sharp, and progressively we're gonna add a sharp in each scale that we learn. So the key of G has 1 sharp, and it is F sharp. And that means that we are taking the F, the normal F that we learned in the C scale, this F, if you make that an F sharp, all we have to do is raise that note 1 fret. So now F, it's become an F sharp for this G major scale. Moving on to your D major scale. So I'm gonna give you a little hint with this one. The mandolin itself is tuned in fifths. So intervals of fifths, which means that we've got our G string. If you count a fifth up, so G, A, B, C, D, that's our D string. Count a fifth up, D, E, F, G, A, that's our next string, so on and so forth. We get a fifth up. From there, we have our E string. So working in fifths like this, we are going from the G major scale up to the D major scale, which is a fifth apart. So if you know the G major scale, the first octave, if you take that exact same fingering, that exact same spacing, but you just start on your D string instead, you have your D major scale automatically because of the way that the instrument is. That's something that's really nice about the mandolin. Super helpful. So the D major scale, you practically already know it. It's starting on your D string, walking up that first octave. Spacing is the same as what we played on the G major scale. So I'm not going to spend too much time on D. We do have 2 sharps here in the key of D, F sharp and C sharp. Those are your 2 sharps. Continuing on, we get to the key of A. And as you might guess, since A is a fifth above D, if we take that same exact shape and start on our A string, you already know an A major scale as well. How easy is this? So that with that A major scale, that is the top octave, but we can actually play a lower octave leading up to that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start all the way down here, 2nd fret of the G string. So we've got our A, B, C sharp. So here, you're gonna have to reach your third finger all the way up to that 6th fret. So you're still gonna use first finger, second finger, third finger. We're just reaching up to that 6th fret. Open D, 1, 2, 3, 6th fret again, A. And now we're to that G major scale shape. We're just starting on the A string. And then we come back down. So there's your A major scale. A major has 3 sharps, so we're continually adding a sharp. We've got F, C, and now G. Moving on to E major. So just like we had the G major shape for that first octave, if we take that over a string, we now have the D string, or the D major scale. We're gonna do the same thing with the A major shape. So we started off with the A major with this shape. If we take this shape and move everything over a string, so now we're starting on the D string with that first finger. If we play that, that gives us our E major scale. Hopefully this is making sense, but we're taking the finger spacing from the A major scale where we had 2nd fret, 4th fret, 6th fret, and we're playing that exact same thing. We're just starting a string over and shifting everything over one string. So now we've got 2nd fret, 4th fret, 6th fret, open, 2nd fret, 4th fret, 6th fret, open. And that's your E major scale. Super simple. And with all of these scales, the notes that are in the major scales are the notes that are in the key. So if somebody says, oh, we're gonna play a tune in the key of E, well, if you know the E major scale, all of the notes that are in the E major scale, those are gonna be the notes that are gonna be used in the tune. So you're already gonna have a head start because you're already gonna know, oh, the key of E, okay, well, I know where the notes in the key of E are on my mandolin. And that makes your job so much easier, just getting familiar with learning tunes and keys and playing in different keys. Okay, we just have a couple more left. So we are moving on to the key of B, and as you can see now we have a bunch of sharps. We've got F, C, G, D, and A. We've got a whole bunch of sharps. With the key of B, we are going to start on a B note, which is our 4th fret on the G string. So we've got 4th fret, 6th fret. Here we have something a little bit interesting. Instead of an open string, we're gonna use our first finger and we're gonna reach it back to the 1st fret on the D string. And then you're gonna shift it up 1 fret to play the 2nd fret. So here we are gonna be using our first finger twice. Once to play the 1st fret, then you slide it up to play the 2nd fret. And then we're gonna continue 4th fret, 2nd finger, 6th fret, 3rd finger. We're gonna do the same thing on the A string. We're gonna slide that 1st finger back to reach the 1st fret, slide it up to reach the 2nd fret. Continue up. Now we do get to play our open E string. This is a breath of fresh air in this scale. We do have an open string. 1, 2, 3. Here, we are gonna wind up using our 4th finger here to play the very top note, the top B of this scale. And then we're gonna walk it down. 4, 3, 2, 1, open. Slide that 1st finger back. And then reach for that 3rd finger on the 6th fret. Slide the 1st finger back. Reach for 3rd finger. Ending on your B note. That's your B major scale. B can be a little bit tricky, And it is still great to know it's a great scale, especially to practice stretching your fingers, because obviously we do have some more stretches involved in playing that scale. F sharp is gonna be the same shape as B. First octave, just moved over a string. So we've got that same spacing, 4th fret on the D string now, 6th fret, low first finger on the 1st fret, sliding it up to the 2nd fret, low first finger, and here we're gonna stop. So we're stopping on the 2nd fret of the E string, and then we're gonna come back down. So there's your F sharp major scale. Hopefully I said that correctly earlier, F sharp. And the last one is your C sharp. And just to be honest, the key of C sharp major, we really don't use that key. I think I've maybe played in this key 2 times. Like it's very rare. It's not used a whole lot, but we can still play this scale because why not? We've done all the others, might as well do the last one, right? So with C sharp, you're gonna be starting here on the 6th fret. And now as you can see, everything is sharp. F, C, G, D, A, E, B. Every note is sharp in this scale. So it's basically the C major scale, but just everything shifted up a fret, if that's not confusing. So 6th fret, 1st fret, you're gonna play your 2nd finger on the 3rd fret and then shift that up to the 4th fret. 6th fret, 1st fret, 2nd finger on the 3rd fret, shift it up to the 4th fret, and then we come back down. So there you go. That is all of the scales for the sharp major keys on mandolin in first position. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you go and download the sheet music with the tablature. That way you can have that. That way you can start implementing these scales into your practice. And if you would like to check it out, I just made a video where I talk about my favorite way to practice scales. So if you've learned these scales and now you're thinking, okay, great, I can play them, but how am I supposed to practice them? Then I highly recommend that you go watch that video. That way you can get some tools for how you can implement these better into your practice time. As always, truly thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. And of course, feel free to comment down below. I always enjoy reading your comments. And stick around, subscribe to see more content like this. I enjoy making these types of videos and I plan to continue. So I will see you guys in my next one.